I'm going to break it all down for you because I want you to be able to take the information that I'm giving you and be able to really systematize yourself where you can go out there and be as productive as possible. These are things that I live every day. These are things that I've gone through over the years they have created major success from a personal standpoint and from a duplication standpoint. I'm going to give you something that's called our 4-checker system. 4-checker system. Check, like a check mark. These are what you're going to check off. The first one of our 4-checker system is this person on my list coachable, teachable, and trainable? Are they coachable, teachable, and trainable? You don't negotiate on that. I don't want anybody who's not coachable, teachable, or trainable. That's just, you know, that's really an anchor in your sail. You don't want anchors in your sail. You want wings beneath your wing, wind beneath your wing. So I'm looking for not anchors, but people who are willing, if they're on the boat with you, they're willing to paddle with you. They're willing to help push forward with you. You're looking for those type of people, not people that you have to sell them their dreams, that you have to push them to really create a why. They should already have a why, a reason why, like we talked about earlier. They should already have the right mindset of becoming successful or utilizing your platform or whatever it is that you're offering to actually go out there and grow themselves in big business. It should be more about them. They should be doing you a favor. You're not looking for people to do you a favor. They're not looking at the business to be kind to you. They should be thanking you for what you're offering. One of the biggest things that I wish we have time, we'll talk about this here in part of this series, but you need to talk about having the right posture. Talking about building value and taking it away. See, I learned when I presented my opportunity, I was building the value and I would take it away. But I was looking for the right people, and the ones that I talked to first, they met the 4-checker system that I'm going to talk about here today. And the first one is, are they coachable, trainable, and teachable? Okay. Number 2, are they a self-starter? Are these people really willing to go out and they're calling you instead of you chasing them? You want somebody that's texting or sending a message or whatever it is that they need to do to actually get with you and say, listen, I am ready. I have my list together. I've categorized my list. I'm ready to set up my first good party, a boom party. I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to set up my first private meeting. I'm ready to do what I have to do. I'm ready to invite to the conference calls. I'm ready to invite to the video conference calls. I'm ready. Tell me, what do I need to do? That's somebody that's being a self-starter. And if you work the 4-checker system right, and you've worked the system right, the system will do the heavy lifting for you. That's why we call it a system. We typically say that system stands for save yourself time, energy, and money. And I want to help you, as I said, systematize your efforts so you can maximize the benefits of what's taking place. And so, are they a self-starter? Do you have to really push them to come to the training, something that they need? Do you have to really push them to get on the call, something that they need? And you have to be honest with yourself. I decided to be honest with myself as I was dealing with people, because in the beginning, I was so glad just to sponsor someone that, you know, it was just me overly excited early on in my career. And then I had to realize, no, this is more for them than it is for me. I didn't look at people like they had a dollar sign after a while. In the beginning, I did. I didn't know any better. I was just glad to get the sign-up bonus. But now, don't look at people as just a sign-up bonus. When you first sponsor a person, that is just getting them in. The beginning is moving them along. There's something that we have called get them in, keep them in, and move them along. but I'm looking for the right people to move along, and they have to be self-starters. Okay, they have to be self-starters. Do they have influence? Do they have influence? Meaning that, do they have the ability to call others, and they will be willing to listen to them in order to get the information, and you put those people in the pipeline of exposure? Do they have the influence that maybe if they call the person, just based on their name alone, people are ready to get started because they believe in them? Have an influence, and then this is where I come in, from building a real strong networking business. My philosophy is, don't get the sheep, get the shepherd. Don't get the sheep, get the shepherd. What do I mean by that? See, a shepherd tends to the sheep, and the sheep knows the voice of the shepherd, and they typically follow the shepherd. If you know anything about how that works or whatever, I understand that that's how that works. And that means the shepherd has the influence. A lot of times we spend more time chasing the sheep than we do finding the shepherds. The shepherds are coachable, teachable, trainable. They're self-starters. And they have the influence over the group that they typically are involved with. And so I got good, and I made myself even better. My why drove me enough to grow enough in order for me to attract the right quality people. It wasn't easy for me to go through the process of explaining this stuff and all the things that I'm going through, because I hadn't gone through it before. But I kept going, I kept bumping my head, I kept going through the process. I stayed within the system. They used to call me Mr. Fundamental, and I'm still that person. I'm still Mr. Fundamental. I don't try to be fancy, because the principle-based teaching that we're giving you right now is what works. It's what's duplicatable. Some people say, you know what, I've been doing it a long time and I've heard the same thing over and over again. You know what, the reason why you hear it is because it works. It absolutely works. And why change it if it works? Another famous saying, a favorite saying of mine is, successful people get good at things that are boring. Sometimes it may get boring to you because you've heard it 20,000 times. You worked it 100,000 times. You've done it all the time. You kept doing it. But you know what? It gets better to me the more I do it. It gets better. The more I do this and follow this guideline, the more I do it, the better I get. I'm always searching to get better. And I look for these things, these principles are non-negotiable. And I can tell you the first three that I just talked about in the 4-checker system, for me, are non-negotiable. I don't negotiate on whether a person is coachable, teachable, or trainable. I don't negotiate whether a person is a self-starter. I don't negotiate, and they have to have some influence, and nobody's going to follow them, and no one's going to listen to them. It could be a more difficult road. It may take a little bit more development for that person in order for them to build up where people will follow them. And that's okay. I was that person. I probably would have been voted most likely to not succeed when I first started this industry. I had some success in other places. I had a little bit of following, but for the most part, things had gone bad. And, when you have hard times, people don't tend to want to listen to you. Sometimes you have to go out there and prove yourself. Not that not take that back. Sometimes you just go out there and have to keep growing. And then in the process of growing, you end up proving yourself. But I had to keep moving forward, and eventually things began to happen for me because I was willing to go through the process. And I want you to be willing to go through the process. The other part of it is, the fourth one is, do they have the financial ability to get started? Do they have the financial ability to get started? At some point in the program, what part can they get started with? It's amazing that in many cases in our great industry, Many people will find more value in buying an expensive cell phone than they do getting started in an opportunity with a low cost, but with high income potential. And some people are not willing to be exposed with who they really are. One thing I can tell you about our industry of direct sales and network marketing is that this industry will expose who you really are. You can't hide behind a big desk, a big chair, and put two little chairs in the front and call yourself a leader here. You're gonna have to develop some skills there. I've met some people that I first saw them and they look good and they smell good and they talk big, but they couldn't lead themselves out of a wet paper bag at the time. And I'm not knocking and beating up on people, but sometimes you're gonna meet people who introduce themselves and they only introduce their representative. They only introduce a representative. And that's why I'm not so shaken. I get people saying, this guy or this lady, they're so big and they this and they this. And I say, okay, good. Let me see. And I sit back and listen. But you always remember, if you've heard me train before, I say successful people dominate the listening. Unsuccessful people dominate the talking. I ask some of the questions and I ask them about themselves and I get them to talking and I can see things contradicting over time and they're giving me all the information that I need in order for me to give them the answer based on the program I have. And that's because I have some systems in place that we're going to teach you over a period of time. You're going to be able to get it because remember, we are creating the right environment for you to win. We are absolutely creating the right environment for you to win. And so these are the four, this is the 4-checker system. Are they coachable, teachable, and trainable? That's one. Are they a self-starter? Are they willing to go out there and do the work even without you having to push them toward their own goals and success? Do they have influence? Remember, it's always best to get the shepherd and not chase the sheep. And also, do they have the financial ability to get started? Now that one is, I'll put my 4 checkers there, but sometimes finances could be just an issue, a temporary challenge. Because when I got started in the industry, and I know many people who have probably been in my situation, they were willing to be coached. They were self-starters. They may have had a little bit of influence, but times that they just maybe falling on hard time and they had to go and find the money. They at least need to be willing to find the money. So financial ability to get started wasn't the most important, but it was important. And so you make sure you go and put that list together and you look for the 4 checkers first, because those people, what I found out is this: the people that you think who will do it, they probably won't. And the people you think who won't do it, they probably will. And that was very important, but I went through the 4 checkers first. And so here's some of the steps that I want to give you to go by. I'm setting you up to win. We're going to set you up to win so big, you won't even have to think about your success. You just need to do the right activity. And we're going to set you up also where you don't confuse activity with accomplishments. Some people think because they're so busy doing all of these different things that they're accomplishing something. No, the result will be in the printout based on the steps that we're going to give you here. Here's some steps that I want you to follow. Number 1, make a list, but don't prejudge. Make a list, but don't prejudge. What do I mean by prejudge? Prejudging is, oh, like I just said, oh, I think she'll do it, or I think he'll do it, or he'll be good, or she'll be good for this. Oh, they need this and that. No, that's not your job. Take that cell phone, go from A to Z, jot the names down, and some of you all are going to realize that some people need to be taken out of your phone anyway. It's dead weight. Your phone is probably going to get lighter. Your pocket is going to get lighter from putting it in there. Your purse, ladies, will be lighter because you're going to get rid of some of the dead weight that's in there, people that have no business being in your phone whatsoever. And you put their name down. Don't prejudge, because you will be so surprised at who's looking for an opportunity right now. You will be so surprised that who want to have more control of their life, who want to have more lifestyle. You'll be so surprised. You'll be so surprised that people that you thought didn't have the money or didn't have the wherewithal to get started, that they were so hungry, they were just looking for somebody to come along. And if you would have just given them a call, but because you prejudged, you missed them. You'd be so surprised at the person that was already, you thought was very wealthy, and they may very well be wealthy, and it's okay. Because what we're doing in our environment is attracting all kinds of people, but you may be thinking, I don't think he or she need it. You'll be surprised at some of the people that I talk to every day who already have it, but that's why they have it, because they see the moment and they seize the moment when they see it. So I don't prejudge. I just expose. Your job is not to make a judgment for them or make a decision for them. Your job is simply to go through the process, put them through the pipeline, do your 4-checker system, call the strongest ones first that meet your criteria of the 4-checker system, and then go through the process of exposure. So make that list, don't prejudge, categorize the list. This is something that I tell a person to do as well. Put name, phone number, and occupation down. You need to do this for yourself. And sometimes you have this for your coach, because your coach, based on their experience as well, they will know based on who they are and what they do, how you need to expose them to the opportunity. Some people may need, the reason why you categorize the list and you put name, phone number, and occupation there, and you go and do your 4-checker system, you want to have your information already in order. And you also want to be able to go on and decide how you're going to do your method of exposure. So that's the next step. But when you go through that process of putting that there, I realized that it matters how and where you expose certain people. Certain people need to have maybe a one-on-one conversation, a private Zoom, just one-on-one. I had several of those where it was just one, no more than 5 or 6 people, and we just have a conversation and just kind of talk it out. And it's an informal presentation. They get it. It's a different way that you do it, because I know I have to speak their language. Sometimes you can put a person in a small group setting. And sometimes it's okay to put people in a larger room settings when we have the larger events. But the money is being made for the most part, and you build your business from one-on-ones and one-on-ones, that means to small groups, and from small groups to big groups. I built my money and made the most money. We built our money and made the most money from starting off face-to-face, belly to belly, small rooms, meeting rooms, living rooms and dens. The money is in the living, or it will be in the living rooms and dens still today. Small group settings, because I'm looking for the shepherds and not chasing the sheep. And then we would roll those meetings into the next larger group meeting, and then to the big team meeting. And it just went on over and over. And I kept repeating and doing that process over and over. But I made sure that I went through and had the list categorized, and I knew exactly how I would expose it to them. So the next one is decide the method of exposure. Are you going to, what version of technology are you going to use your pre-recorded presentation, your I Decide presentation? Yeah, you can send that out. Once you set it up properly, tell them you're going to send some information. And we're going to do an invite training, but you can decide before you even approach them a couple of different ways of exposure. So when you're talking to them, you already have a game plan of where you're going to invite them and how you're going to invite them. So decide the method of exposure? Will it be one-on-one? Will it be a small group setting? Will it be a Zoom or video conference or telephone conference or open meeting? Whatever it's going to be, you already have that decision made based on you categorizing the list. The next thing is get mentally prepared to go through the process. You have to know your averages. And one of the things I can tell you is this. I knew my averages. I knew my average. What do I mean by that? Well, I'll give you an analogy of this. We talk about a baseball player. And I'm not just the biggest person when it comes to sports, but I understand a few things. I know if you swing 10 times as a professional player and you miss 7 times out of 10, if you can hit 2 to 3 times out of 10, you're $1 million player. The averages are such that if you can only connect 20 to 30% of the time, you're a big time player. And it is very rare, even with a person of influence, that everybody they talk to gets started. And so I had to be prepared mentally. That's just the law of averages. I was the player that got 1 out of 10, maybe 1 out of 10, maybe a half out of 10. But I knew I can win if I went through the numbers. Jim Rohn used to talk about, I know how to beat people who are better than me. And I would think, how do you do it? And he would say, Jim Rohn is he's gone on now, but he was one of the best motivational speakers out there in the world. And he said, if a person can get 10 out of 10, I can beat him. I'm like, how in the world can he do that? He said, well, what I'll do, if I was getting 1 out of 10, they were getting 10 out of 10, I would talk to 110 people and I would get 11. They got 10, I got 11, I beat them. See, what you make up in skill, you make up in number. What you lack in skill, you make up in number. And so I was the one that had to go. I'm telling you, it still works if you're not the one who can get 9 or 10 out of 10. If you are only able to bet the average like I was able to do, I'm just giving you some hope here. Okay, I can speak from experience. Some of you all are already ahead of me that you can get 2, 3, 4 out of 10. Great. You're ahead. That's great. But do better. Don't let a good life spoil a great life. But I had to get mentally prepared that I may have to go through more people and go through more no's to find the right yeses. And I was willing to do that because, number one, I had the right why. I had the why that was ahead of me. I had a reason to push through no matter what took place. It was in my heart of hearts that I was going to win. I knew I had the right vehicle. I knew I was with the right people. Now, and I had the right services and products and all that stuff. I had all of that. But what made the difference between me and everyone else is that I had an emotionally driven why and I was mentally prepared to not do everything within my power, but to do what was necessary in order for me to accomplish my why. See, this is the real talk that you need right here. Some people come and say, can you give me 1 or 2 messages or words or something that'll push me along? And I said, I can't give you one thing. There were multiple things. They were simple things, but there were multiple things. But the biggest thing of them all, the biggest one of them all is to drive me. It was to drive me with the right why. When I didn't have the right full skill to go do it, the why drove me enough to become a much better person in order for me to accomplish my goals. And I was willing to go through a no because I knew mentally that I had to go through those no's, but I knew when I get to the yeses, but the no's never killed me. I'm still here today. My goal was to go through more no's than anyone. Your goal should right now I'm gonna make it a fun day. How many no's can I get right now? How many people can I get on a call right now if there was a call. And I just want to see, let me do a study. Just go through the process and watch your numbers. And okay, I put 10 people on there. 5 said no, 2 said maybe, and 3 said yes. Whatever the number may be. At least you know. But I was willing and understood that everybody wouldn't have the dreams and goals. No one taught me why to have a vision, to be a visionary. No one taught me back in the day to have the right why. And you got to remember, what we're teaching you right now, they don't teach in school. This is wealth training. This is ego training. This is not chicken school. This is wealth building school. This is where in many cases, only the people who are strong enough to carry out their whys will go through. And you don't have to be the strongest person. You just have to be the person that's willing to do what's necessary person to make this happen. And so get mentally prepared. And the last but not least, in this step is to take massive action. You have to go for your goals like you've never gone before. Once you've gotten yourself organized and you've done all the things that I've talked about, you made your list, you didn't prejudge. You categorized your list, you did the 4-checker system. You decided the method of exposure. So when you got on the phone and you did your inviter, when you met a person, you knew exactly, I know how I'm gonna invite, Mr. Holton Buggs to this meeting, or any person for that. I know exactly, okay, I know the type of person he is, I kind of got an idea. I maybe put a game plan together with my plugged in upline, and we know, hey, these are some options for him or her based on who they are and what you've explained to me. And you have to be prepared. And you have to also be prepared that a person may feel that their plate is too full and they may tell you no, but in many cases, no don't mean no, it means not right now. And you got to know how to also put some things in place. I'm gonna give you another side tip. Sometimes when a person say no, that may mean no right now. And you may be able to ask them and say, you know what? Do you mind if I keep you abreast of the success of where we're going, just in case some things change, you can still participate and benefit from what we're building. And now you have permission. Maybe I'll send you something maybe once a month just to keep you updated because things are going extremely well. And that way, if something happens to change or you find the right person, you can send them our way so they can benefit from what I'm showing you right now. I'm showing you some things that you can do. So no don't always have to mean no, it can mean not right now. But also, when you building the business and your why is strong enough, you can build something by taking massive action. And that massive action that you do can propel you to levels and peaks that you've never seen before. I didn't wait, I launched the business. I didn't join a business. And I want you to be able to go in and launch your business. Make a list right now. Start over like you're brand new. I'm gonna say, if you're brand new and hearing it for the first time, make a list of 50 to 100 people. Make a list right now, 50 to 100 people. Do this for your prospects and your customers. Do it for your prospects and your customers. Make a list of people so you can expose those people to the business. And follow the step that I showed you how to do. I'm setting you up to win right now. I am setting you up so you can win for the long haul. Do it right, not now, but right now. Take some time, get organized. Do the things that I've been talking about. So I'm giving you an assignment in order for you to go out there and win big here